sacrament of matrimony and my brother priest, what a privilege it is to be in your midst.
Qué privilegio es estar con ustedes.
As he addressed the brethren in Corinth, remember, he started off his epistle with the words, to the saints who are in Corinth. I'm sure they swerved a little bit at that salutation, but he meant it from the bottom of his heart. Because he realized that it was not what these Christians were able to accomplish in themselves, but what the Lord was accomplishing in them. Sanctity is not in our hands. We don't make ourselves saints. It's the Lord's choice of us, and it's His presence in us that sanctifies us. So, it's with every ounce of sincerity in me that I say to you, I am thrilled to be with the saints in Cartagena. The Lord has empowered you to love with all your hearts and souls. There is no higher human capacity than the ability to love. And you do it so well. So be very careful in the future. When someone asks you to describe yourself, our temptation is to say, we're just an ordinary couple. I'm just an ordinary priest. We should hear a thunderous voice from heaven roaring out a huge no whenever we put the word ordinary in our relationship. We fool ourselves into thinking we are being humble when we speak that way. In truth, that's not actual humility. Really, it's a form of arrogance. We're denying the Lord the right to have His way with us. He didn't choose us to be a member of His body. He didn't choose us to be sacred sacraments. He didn't choose us to be models of the way He loves His church so that we can reduce it to being ordinary. When we wave the flag of ordinariness, we are saying that it is our love that is the extent of our capability in our relationship. No, we have been lifted beyond ourselves by Jesus' choice of us as His special sacraments. As St. Paul said, I live, now not I, but Christ lives in me. He has lifted me from the ordinary and commissioned me to play a special role in His mission to save the world. Jesus is with us all the way. He gives us the ability to love our spouse, husband or wife, or people of the church, beyond what ordinary people would be capable of doing. He does this because He loves us so tenderly, and He wants what's best for us. Remember when you were engaged, the day you walked down the aisle, and how filled you were with ambition to be the greatest husband, the greatest wife, the greatest priest that ever existed. Oh, how your heart yearned to never ever let your beloved down, to always be the lover of lovers. Well, that was exactly the hope and dream that Jesus had for you on that day. He wanted you to always be at your best with one another. He promised that He will always be at your side to lift you beyond your limitations and make you always capable of being at your best. So we know, no matter how difficult things might be at any given moment, we are never lacking in the capacity. We promise to be on that wonderful. But even though our ambitions on the day we pledged ourselves to one another were so magnificent, they were only glimpses of the awesomeness of what Jesus has planned for us. Because he chose us to be part of his mission. He selected us and empowered us to speak in his name. He calls upon us to change the world, not by telling people what they're doing wrong, by flooding the world with love. Actually, we know that the more we love one another, the more capable we are to reach out to those around us. Love is not narrow. It's not restricted. It constantly seeks to spread itself. It's never worn out. You know, my dear ones, we sometimes are challenged as to whether we believe in God. That is not really the root of what we are called to in our relationship with God. The real question is, do we really believe he believes in us? Do we have any idea how much he believes in us and trusts in us and counts on us? The degree that we believe in God is equal to the degree with which we allow him to trust us, send us forth in his name. One of the wonderful things about marriage encounter is that it introduced us to our sacrament. Before encounter, we knew we were married. Now we know we're matrimony. They are not the same thing. Marriage is pretty much about the two of us. That's wonderful and important. And certainly, we should cheer on any couple who does a good job in marriage. But matrimony is a quantum leap. It calls us to everything that a good marriage does, then offers a whole new horizon. Marriage tells husbands to love their wives with everything they've got. Matrimony tells husbands to love their wives as Jesus loves the church, his body. Marriage tells wives to do right by their husbands. Matrimony brings up mystery that throws us for a loss. It says, wives, be submissive to your husbands. How can that be looked on as part of a love relationship? That would be servitude. Neither man nor woman sees any attraction making the wife a lesser creature. But then we must look deeper into the passage St. Paul and see that the wife is called to be submissive just as he submitted himself to her. Also, the husband is entrusted to love his wife as Christ loves the church. How does Christ love the church? He submitted himself to her. Therefore, it is the husband who has to take the leadership in submission. And it is only in the context of the husband's submission that the wife is asked to be submissive. So the wife's submission is a response to her husband's leadership in submission. So for both, it is to give way to one another in the Lord. But matrimony, on the love that so couple have for one another, wonderful though that is, matrimony is one of only 7 signs of Jesus' presence in our midst, one of 7 special ways in which he functions in our midst. You know, our Holy Father has visited various countries around the world. often enough, newspaper reporters or television commentators ask people, what's so different about Catholics? What's so special? We get answers like the saints or Mary. Sometimes people will mention that. But one thing that I've never heard anything about the specialness of Catholics is the sacrament of matrimony. How tragic. The truth of the matter is that the sacrament of matrimony is just as distinguishing of the Catholic Church as is the Eucharist. If I were physically there in your midst, I would genuflect to you. It's just as proper to recognize the holiness and the active presence of Jesus in you as sacraments as to genuflect before the Eucharist. Just as the Catholic Church would not be the Catholic Church without the Eucharist. Catholic would be the Catholic Church without you, our sacramental couples. After all, we count on the sacramental love of couples to reveal to us the inner life of the Trinity. We depend upon the devotion of our matrimony couples to one another to reveal to us how Jesus loves the rest of us in the church. You are prophets in our midst. We cannot be ourselves as Catholics without you. My brother priests, how wonderful you are. You are so self-sacrificing in finding the time and energy to reveal to those couples how precious you are. Only heaven knows how much joy you are responsible for spreading. We cannot thank you enough. My beloved couples, you are so precious in my heart. I do wish I was there physically, in your presence, just to hug you, to hold your faces in my hands. I would love to look in your eyes. I would love to look deep into your eyes and to speak with you heart to heart and to pour into your souls what a gift your love for one another is to me and how much you have shared that love with me. I love you all very dearly, and my hopes and prayers are that marriage encounter will flourish not only in Cartagena, but throughout your beloved country.
Father Chuck, you too, vaya con Dios. And Father Chuck, we also would like to put in the bottom of your soul how dear and how important your words have been for us today. Thank you very much for being with us in this convention.